Chris Roberts has been telling us for 10 years that publishers are bad. They compromise the vision for the game, they push games out the door before they're ready, all to make shareholders happy. The counter-argument is always, well, at least they make sure games get released. Star Citizen is in the worst state it's been in maybe ever. The live version of the game, 3.18, is completely broken. I logged on the weekend to try out Xenothreat and instantly fell through the floor before I could even start recording. I then spent 5 minutes having the worst Star Citizen experience I think I've ever had. Things responded slowly, terminals trapped me, ships teleported me, weapons just stopped working completely on the server for everybody. Thankfully, I blew up and decided to log off. So I thought, maybe I'll try out the new Star Wars game. That was a mistake. Star Wars Jedi Survivor is a complete mess on PC. I've read and watched reviews and I decided to try it out. Now, all the reviews mentioned performance issues, especially on PC, but I don't think any of them truly explained how bad things really were. Most of the reviewers were focused on how their 4090 wasn't hitting 60 FPS and how terrible this was, but they all missed the fact that the game is completely CPU bottlenecked, even on top-end CPUs. Jedi Survivor uses Unreal Engine 4, which, from what I can find with a bit of Googling, seems to have similar issues to the issues that Star Citizen has with CryEngine/Lumberyard. The main thread and the render thread are not multi-threaded, and they'll be the bottleneck in certain heavy parts of the game. Now, Respawn seems to have just completely ignored this and just shoved the game out the door. There is no way they didn't know how broken it was. The constant hitches and stutters are in every single part of the game that I've played so far. Like I said, the initial reviews focused on the wrong thing. The overall FPS is bad, yes, but the issue is the frame time. It's awful everywhere in the game, and I'm playing with a 7950 XVD. So it's horrible. Respawn must have known it was horrible, but still, it was released to the public as a finished game. A horrible decision. This isn't exactly an uncommon story. Plenty of games have released in terrible states on PC, especially over the last few years. So why does this keep happening? Well, it must be the publishers. There really isn't another possible answer. EA is, like all large companies, all about the money. I imagine there was a conversation that went something like this. Respawn said, the game isn't ready. And EA said, well, that's the release date. You've got to make it ready no matter what. We're sticking to that date. It seems as though EA just doesn't care about the bad press. They already have plenty of that. But they have a finely tuned release schedule that they're just not willing to compromise. These are the games that are coming out in this month in 2023, and we are going to release them no matter what. They're happy to take the initial money from the sales and try and fix these games after release. So, back to Chris Roberts. There is no way he would have released Jedi Survivor in its current state. Some might say, well, look at 3.18. But CIG will just shrug their shoulders and say, it's an alpha, what do you expect? 3.18 isn't a finished product and the same standards don't apply. But the difference between the two games is that CIG are slowly trying to fix Star Citizen. They've spent 10 years completely rewriting what we now call the Star Engine. Some of you older backers might remember playing Arena Commander when your ship and UI elements would start to shake as you got close to the arena boundary. CIG needed to convert the engine to 64-bit precision, which they did. Maybe you remember the boost in performance we got with object container streaming in 3.3. Putting persistent entity streaming in the game with 3.18 has caused all sorts of issues, but it is a massive technical achievement for CIG. And the big one, server meshing, is on the cards in the next few years. CIG has a good track record with these major milestones, they just take a long time. But in the here and now, 3.18 is really bad. There are lots of bugs, issues with backend databases, desync and server-side performance issues, but client-side performance is, if you look back over the last 10 years, heading in the right direction. It's not anywhere near close to perfect, especially with Xenothreat running, but even in the worst parts of the game where you get the lowest frames, it's normally pretty consistent. I'd argue that even in its current pre-alpha/alpha/whatever you want to call it state, it's much more pleasant to play than Respawn's complete mess. The worst thing about the Jedi Survivor situation is that I'm not even sure Respawn are going to be able to do anything about it. It seems as though a major rework of the engine might be needed to fix the shader compiling that we see causing so many stutters. The game might never get fixed. 10 years into the development of Star Citizen, lots of people view Chris as the embodiment of everything wrong with the project. But as more and more rushed game releases come out every year, maybe it is better that Star Citizen takes 20 years to be made with no publisher pushing out the door. As slow and draining as that journey has felt so far, maybe a game that's given the time to work through tech debt and solve major challenges can turn into something special. As the quote goes, a delayed game is eventually good, a bad game is bad forever. But, unlike Nintendo, CIG does still have to prove they can actually release a game in a good state. The major test is going to be Squadron 42. It better be the most polished game that you've ever seen when it does finally release.